Okie dokie, so myself and CJ are here today doing a bit of a joint effort. Tell you a bit about ourselves, how our worlds sort of collided, and what we're sort of bringing to the table. Because we're both in the same industry, aren't we?
Same industry.
Health and fitness, very broad industry, but in different ways. So we obviously met through our mutual love of boxing. I happened to go to one of the box size classes that CJ taught up the road at another gym. And then we just got chatting. I think he spotted the talent. We got chatting after the class, didn't we? And just found we had sort of similar values about stuff. We obviously wanted to be able to work together because CJ's focus is definitely more down the boxing and the mental health side. Obviously, my coaching is very much all-encompassing on all of that, including, the nutrition, the strength training, the hormones, everything in terms of like taking over your whole life. So we cross over on a lot of paths, and we think we just thought it'd be nice to do something together to see, what we could bring to the table. Really focusing today more on the mental health side of things, really. So I suppose from my point of view, my history is I've been a coach now for over 10 years, so a long time, working one-to-one in gyms, and now working online with my clients, more like sort of accountability coaching, keeping them online with the nutrition, the fitness, as I say, hormone health, sleep, mindset, the lot. So I won't go on too much because you know what, you don't want too much more about me. So I'll let CJ introduce himself.
So I'm CJ. As Mel said, we met at another gym. Mel came to one of my boxing classes. We agreed on a lot of things. We just sort of bounced off each other, I think. Really.
Definitely.
Ideas bounced a lot. Our ideas still bounce in, and that's how we've come to do something like this. So a few months ago, I thought I wanted to get on this podcast hype, try speak about stuff that's close to my heart, in particular mental health in sport. It started off originally at mental health in boxing, which is like the area that I specialise in, if you like. That's what we're going to touch on today. How what we do is involved in helping out with mental health, just from the sport side of it, and how you can improve your own life, I suppose, and move forward.
Definitely, because really, we're both doing effectively a very similar job. We're trying to improve people's lives through getting moving, getting active. For me, more about the sort of nutrition as well. We're both coming at the same thing, but we've come from completely different angles, really. In terms of CJ, where he's come from with the boxing is completely different. It's probably where I came from to become a coach, but we bring totally different things to the table. But I think in the end, we're both here just to make people's lives better. I know that sounds really cliche, but that's sure, it, isn't it?
Yeah,
because we've seen for ourselves what sort of being active, doing a sport, or just keeping fit and keeping yourself healthy has done for us in terms of our mindsets.
Yeah.
I mean, massively for you, I would have said.
Absolutely. So last year, I probably went through one of the most difficult times I've had in my life. I'm 28 years old. I had an injury at work. I broke my ankle. That was it's still ongoing now. It's been a long return period to get back to full fitness. So that meant I wasn't at work. That meant income stopped. That meant my fitness stopped, which then I've always dealt with my mental health, if you like, by keeping as busy as I can, either with work or slamming in as much fitness as I can. So when that all came to a stop suddenly, and I wasn't running and I wasn't boxing or training myself or helping with classes or going to different gyms, and I just wasn't working in general, I had a standstill, and then you start overthinking, and everybody knows overthinking is overthinking is overthinking.
Absolutely, and I mean for you, if you imagine now if you didn't have the boxing or the fitness, where would you be in life? Would it have changed your life massively, I would imagine?
Massively. I started boxing all very young, and then turned down a few different directions, we'll say. I haven't always been on the right path. And it's always come back to this. I was led back to boxing, stick to me boxing, get back to your discipline, get back to fitness, and thankfully I am where I am today, and I will say a lot of that is because of boxing and sport in general, keeping myself fit, keeping myself focused on doing something. And I think it's important, not just for the mental health side, I think as well for the younger generation, not saying everyone needs to box, but everyone needs to have a focus point, whether that's sport or something physical in general. I think you've got to do it, and I think it really should be imprinted on the younger generation that they have got that focus.
Definitely, because I think, like you going through that experience, I think you'll agree that you can probably now empathise with a lot of people in your situation, especially youngsters, who are now, and I hate to make this generalisation, in this culture of we just sit on our phones all day, we just sit on the PlayStation or, you know, whatever all day. So getting out, playing in the street like maybe I did as a kid isn't a thing anymore. So something like CJ does, like the boxing, and getting kids into the discipline of boxing could completely change their lives. From being maybe coming to a club like this or wherever to do boxing compared to hanging around on a street corner, and we know where that ends up.
Exactly.
You know, so it's just installing that discipline. And obviously I also come from a sort of boxing background. I did boxing competitively, and I cannot stress enough I mean, it was awful at the time, the discipline, you know, getting forced to go out running in the rain, snow, wind, you're absolutely knackered all night, I've got to train. But you know what, that discipline, you can't put a price on it, can you?
No, you can't buy it.
Because that's instilled.
Yeah, that's it. And even though times change, generation changes, like when you were trained, you wouldn't be allowed to probably do that now, would you? The way you probably spoke to people, but it's instilled in you, in all the good parts of it. You take away the good things, and that's what I always say to my classes, that I'll teach you how I got taught. It might not necessarily be the right way of wording things or doing things, but that's where I am now because of it.
Exactly.
So you always take the good parts, don't you, with you?
Yeah, exactly. And I know, you know, there'll be a lot of people out there sort of thinking maybe, you know, well, you know, it's too late for me to start doing something like that. And I can, from my point of view, I can only assure you, I have worked with a lot of clients who are older than me, younger than me, every single age, you know, gender, everything, and everybody can start some way. We're not saying that to improve your mental health, you have to join a boxing club and start, you know, sparring. No. We're not saying that. No. We're saying for most people, it just takes them to make that little step on moving a little bit more. Whether that means you start by walking to the end of your street and back every day, and then the next street, and then there's just these tiny steps you take up to this point of maybe thinking, maybe I am fit enough to join a boxing class. And exactly like me, that's all I did. I joined an exercise class where they did boxing moves. And the teacher at the time, this is when I was a lot younger, the teacher at the time said, you're quite good at this, you should do it. And then that just sparked an idea. And so I went to a kickboxing club. And the next thing I'm doing Thai boxing, then I'm doing competitive. And it was never a plan. It's just I started in a small way and it just develops, doesn't it?
That's it. I think it's going back to last year when I'd started on a bit of a downfall with my mental health. I started speaking to a gentleman who you've met before, called Peter Humphreys. I rave about him in any of the talks I've ever done or videos I've ever done with anybody. He's a chakra hypnotherapist. It's all about changing your mindset. And he sort of instills in you that it's about achievable goals. You know, you speak to some people and they'll say, in 6 months I want a full body transformation, and I want to be fit as a fiddle, and I want to not be like this. And it's realistically 9 times out of 10 that's not achievable.
It probably is, with a lot of big, massive sacrifices.
But
for me, the point with that is, okay, it might be achievable if you want to just change everything, but is it maintainable long term?
Maintainable, exactly. Yeah. When you've got a 9-to-5 job, when you've got a home, you've got kids, you've got a partner, you know, pressures like you say. It's hard work, so it's about setting those achievable goals where it's just step by step and you build on things. So to some people, it might be a really small win to someone else, but for some people it might be just getting out of bed and going for a walk, and you've done that.
Getting out of bed for some, getting off the sofa, you know, everybody's at a different level, and this is, I find frustrating, and I hate to keep slandering social media, but saying they've got a lot to answer for it. It's not really social media, it's the fact we've got so much information now. Yeah. Everything's just in front of us, isn't it, all the time? And the problem with that is people are constantly comparing themselves to, oh, well, what's the point for me because I'll never look like her? What's the point for me because I'm never going to get to that? And I think, again, it sounds cliche, but you've just got to think, right, as long as I'm better than the person yesterday, or better than the person I was last week, or I make that one small improvement, or, you know, that's all you want, isn't it?
That's all you can do.
And it literally can just, like, balloon from there. It can just go on and on and on. And then a year from now, you might go, crikey, I'm glad I made that step.
Changing your mindset is the key, I think. Changing, and as hard as it sounds, because, and trust me, I've been there at times when someone tells you, just be positive, and you're in that negative mindset. It's the worst thing to say. You think, well, but you're not in my situation. But you have to try change things. You're the only person that's going to do that.
Yes, I love that saying that I often say to my clients. No one is coming to save you. If you want to change your life, it's going to be down to you, isn't it? There's not someone going to fly in, you know, Superman going to come in and say, I've got you sorted, Melanie, let's go. No, it's going to be down to you, so no one's coming to save you. And you just mentioned hypnotherapy. Now, some people listening might think, oh, it just sounds a bit, you know, But obviously it's massively helped you.
It massively helped me.
Was that the start of when you sort of improved things, or
definitely, definitely the start of everything. And it's taught me, and Peter's taught me the tools that he says. You already have them. You just don't know how to use it properly.
They're embedded somewhere back here.
In your brain. Your brain's the most powerful tool ever, and it's just about training your brain, changing your mindset. That's what it's all about. And when you start thinking positively and start wanting more and wanting better, not I want to win the lottery. When you start thinking, you know, I want to eat healthier, I want to be fitter, I want to feel better in myself, that's when things start to change.
It's true, and it could literally be cutting. Say if you're a big drinker and you don't see how you can get out of that, maybe you literally, and again I do this with a lot of clients, okay, let's try and spend like maybe just Monday, Tuesday and don't have a drink, just tiny little steps, because if you expect to go from 0 to hero, it is not going to stick. You're going to have to build those little steps so gradually until they just become normal. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people out there who have a few drinks every night, and there's no criticism from me, but they come to me saying, I know this isn't doing me any favours, so right, okay, let's try Monday without, then let's say Tuesday, and before the net, and it's a bit like the steps and getting out for a walk. Oh, I can't be bothered. Well, let's just try and get 2,000 steps a day. Everyone can do that. And then maybe the next week, 3,000. Before you know it, you'll be doing 10,000 steps a day, or 8 to 10,000 steps a day, and it'll just be part of life.
Yeah.
Like almost a little like me, another little job you tick off the list. And you've got to make time for it, because you've got to realise that time is going to give back to you, isn't it?
Of course it is. Of course it is. Being fitter and healthier in general it's in the long run, isn't it? It's the long game.
It's going to make you more productive, isn't it?
Of course it is. I think another key thing to it all is you've got to talk. So, especially from a bloke's point of view, we were talking earlier just before we put this on about statistics, about unfortunately like suicide rate statistics. Well, Mel's was a lot different to mine, so it just shows you, you know, well, wherever you get your statistics from in general, but so what I said was that I read one the other day that men from the age of 21 to about 35, 34 is so high in suicide.
That sounds right, to be fair, for men. I think they struggle to talk, don't they?
They do struggle to talk.
Because it may be seen as a sign of weakness.
And
what do you think?
How crazy is that when you actually think about it?
Yeah.
You know, that blokes can't talk to the mates or the family because they feel like they're being weak, when in reality you're struggling, you're weak because you can't let yourself out, talk to people, let people know what's happening. You're weakening yourself.
Women are a lot better at that. Women are a lot better at talking to their friends. They'll just say whatever. And women can talk. They can though, can't you? Well, we've seen an example of it here. But for women, I know from my own work with sort of hormones and menopause and stuff, it tends to be older women that struggle more with the menopause thing, the suicide thing, because of the hormones, and it really affects the mindset. Yeah. But I can totally appreciate that it is a younger man. Because suddenly they're thrown into this world, sorry to say it again, social media, where they see everything looks perfect.
Yeah, of course.
So why aren't I living up to that?
Yeah.
And then it might turn to like, well, I just drinking with my mates at the weekend, and it can turn into a downward spiral, as we know. And that looks like the answer at the time, but then it just develops and it just becomes worse. So I think you're right. I'm quite happy to see more blokes online encouraging the talking thing. As you've probably seen, there's a few people doing male-only groups, which I think.
And it needs to happen. I know that, so we're in Line Fitness Gym in Selby, kindly Mark let us use it for today. I know on the notice board over there there's I think it Talk to Andy, which is men's mental health support group where just blokes go to speak to each other, which a lot will find easier. Yeah. I think a lot more needs to happen with stuff like that. Yeah. Again, being so young, 21 to 35, I mean, I'm in the middle of that at 28, I can't imagine someone I went to school with or someone that I worked with being this age and struggling and thinking, you know, I've just got to zip it up, grin and bear it, and go about my day normally and not know. Because I suppose it's
culturally, men are seen, they've got to be the strong one who brings home the bacon. And that, fair enough, there is a male-female thing, and we're not going to get into all that gender side of things, but I think that has added its own layer of pressure, hasn't it? Because suddenly they think if they're not providing, if they're not doing, then they're failing.
And in this world that we're in, like, again, social media, economy crisis, life's hard. Life is hard.
It's tough.
And the only way you are going to get through it is by looking after yourself, which is something we were going to touch on about having self-care. Yeah. And talking, expressing yourself. Doesn't have to be public, it doesn't have to be in front of a load of people, but as long as you can find somebody or something that you can focus in, or someone to talk to and let it out, that's the key, I think. That's what's going to help either women at that certain age or men at this age that are struggling, or anybody in general.
Any age, exactly. And if you look at the basic requirements of us as a human, and a lot of the people miss this. Obviously, we need food. Obviously, we need shelter. We can't live outside generally with no shelter. But one of the massive things we have to have as humans, and if we don't have, is human connection.
Yeah.
If you cannot live on your own little island as a solitary person, say, I don't need people. You do. Eventually, that is going to lead to depression, anxiety. You must forge connections with people.
Absolutely.
Because you realise that, and it's taken me a long time to realise that sometimes you think, oh, I quite like being at home on my own, just no one to bother me. But when you do go out and make those connections, whether it be friends, family, work, you always come out feeling like, oh, I created a connection, I feel better for it, I feel like I've interacted. Yeah. And often with these things, the thought of it is worse than the doing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's like throwing yourself into a class, for example, with you. Oh, crikey, who's going to be there? Am I going to be rubbish? Oh, no, I'm going to really fail. And you know more often than not, CJ, that when someone does a class, at the end of it, they're on top of the world.
On top of the world. And I said this again recently, your body releases endorphins, makes you feel good, then your brain starts releasing serotonin, and it's just that little process again of getting out of bed, going for that walk. It's the slow build-up of things to make yourself feel better.
Totally.
Once you've worked out, once you've done something, once you've thrown yourself out your comfort zone, really, and you get the benefit from it, you start to feel better.
Definitely, and I think about sort of, again, the clients, just getting them out walking. I know it's such a simple thing, that's what we're designed to do. Yeah. But so many people have said, just that simple action of getting out in daylight, I feel more positive, I have time to think about things, I have time to plan my day, reason things out. Maybe they go with, maybe another great thing, take your friends walking. It's another chance to connect with people and getting exercise in. Absolutely. And it's just also your sleep. If you're not getting out in the daylight and getting some steps or getting some movement in, your sleep's going to be compromised. Then you all know how you feel when you don't sleep. The next day it's like, oh, well, I'm absolutely knackered, so I'm not doing this, I'm not exercising. And then you eat crap because you're tired. It's like this negative loop. So at some point in that loop, which is sleeping badly, eating badly, not training, feeling worse, it's just going down. Like, you've got to find a point of that you're going to break. So which part am I going to break? Am I going to try sleeping better, or am I just going to try moving a bit more? And that'll suddenly create the upward spiral.
So on a day-to-day basis, what is a coping mechanism you've got for yourself? So if you're having a bad day.
Well, a bad day. I don't have any bad days, to be fair.
That's really good then.
No, but I'm not going to say that I'm just lucky for not having them. I've created that. Yeah. So I will make sure I always get my 10k steps in. In fact, I get a bit regimented about it, to the point where I think, oh, I've got a busy day, right, I better get out early. But this is the way it works. Yeah. If you've got a busy day ahead, find some way you can slot it in. Is it your lunch hour? Can you get out? Oh, it's raining. Put a coat on, put your hood up, get out, because I promise you'll feel better. Yeah. For me, getting my steps in, making sure, everyone's different with nutrition, but the basics are the same, aren't they?
Of course they are, yeah.
Healthy, nutritious diet, whether you're vegetarian, you eat meat, or whatever you eat, as long as you're getting your fruit and veg in, plenty of fluids, and you're keeping your calories, for a lot of people, calories is a big thing, as we know. Yeah. They're eating way too many for what they're burning, so you've got a choice there. You can either reduce the calories a bit, because we weren't here really to talk about weight loss, but it's part of the whole thing. You notice people, massive factor of people, you get overweight, or you're just feeling sluggish, tired, it all builds into this feeling crap about yourself. If you can lose a few pounds, if you are carrying a bit of extra weight, get moving, eat better, it's again feeding into the mental health thing. So for me, just making sure I'm eating a healthy diet, because I know how I feel when I eat garbage. Yeah. We all know how we feel in a weekend, if we've had a few too many drinks, or we've just eaten rubbish food. You always feel rubbish the next day. So those two things, and for me, because I've been so disciplined with my training, for me to get to the gym and lift my weights 3 times a week, some people might think, oh God, I couldn't be bothered. But I've been doing it so long, it's just part of life. I don't even engage my brain anymore. I just do it. It's on these days and I go. And if I know I'm going to be busy those days, I'll try and slot it in somewhere else, because it's important to me, because there is times in life I've let that slide, and then it takes a few weeks and you start to realise, I don't feel as good, I don't feel as strong, I don't feel as mobile.
What's changed? Why
it takes a while, doesn't it? Yeah. You can let things slide. It's like eating. I've had people say to me, oh, well, I ate utter rubbish this week and I've still lost weight. Will you carry on like that and see how long that theory lasts? Because it doesn't, not very long. So I think it's just getting all, with my own coaching, it's all about getting all the pillars in place. And as I say, you can't do it all at once. You've got to take your time. So, as I just said, movement, nutrition, your sleep, getting your hormones right, and that's men or women, but mindset is the big one. Like often when I start with someone, I'll talk to them about where they stand on the behavioural change sort of thing. What's it called? Behavioural change. There's areas where you're in pre-contemplation.
Yeah.
Are you ready to make a change? Or they're in contemplation, or they're ready for action, or wherever you are. If you're not in the stage of behavioural change where you are ready to make a change, you need to have a think about it, because you obviously something's not important to you, you're not holding enough value in it. And sometimes it takes something awful to happen. I hate to say it, but often people come to me and say, well, I've just been to the doctors and I've had a blood test and I'm pre-diabetic, or I've just had a heart problem, and that's their
kick to get
exactly.
going. Yeah.
So that's a very sad situation. It has to get to that. But often people just need something that kicks them, or maybe they see a photograph of themselves on holiday and go, oh, crikey. So that's there. They're then in pre-contemplation. Now we're going to go for it. We're ready for action. So I think it's one of those things with clients. If someone comes to you and they say, I want to lose 5 stone, but they don't want to make any changes, you're up against it.
You are up against it. It's hard. It's hard. You've got to be willing to, whether it's your weight loss change, whether it's you want to feel better mentally or physically, you have got to be willing to make sacrifices.
Yeah, if you want to be a better boxer, it's not just going to happen by you being their coach.
No.
They're going to have to put the graft in.
Yeah, I say that to clients or classes I've run in the past. Say an average boxing club runs a class 3 times a week. Yeah. It's only an hour, an hour and a half, 2 hours at max. So, 3 hours a week is the only time I've got you, or the club's got you, whatever it is. The rest of the week, when you're at work or at home or you're on the weekend and you think I'll have a few beers, that's when you've got to take over yourself, and that's when your discipline's got to take over and your mindset, when you've got to think, oh no, actually, I might have a treat or whatever, but I am still training, I am still doing this. You've got to be balanced, and you've got to work with people. Yeah, definitely. And you've got to sort of explain to people that it's not like you have to be suddenly unable to ever have a drink again, or ever have a pizza again, or ever go out with your mates. No, this isn't. You've still got to live your life. It's all about balance. It's how you balance against what you do that could be conceived as bad at the weekend against having a good week. So I think people sometimes think if they start on a coaching plan or a program or class, suddenly, oh, that's it, I can never have a drink again, I can never go out. Well, that's not life. Not true. No, it's not life, and it's not true. We're only here once, aren't we? Yeah, exactly. You've got to enjoy yourself. Yeah. It's finding everything in moderation. Moderation is that old word, but it is so true, isn't it? It is true. Yeah, it is true. A good technique, again, Pete told me last year, which I have it in my life, whether I'm thinking about it exact or if it's just in the back of my mind, is that we're on the line. Right. Okay, every day, everybody's on the line. You go beneath it and you go above it every day. Okay, like even the tiniest things, like you got a parking space really close to Morrison's, you're above the line, no far to walk. See, I wouldn't do that, me, CJ. I get mine right at the back. I'm just worried about anybody breathing in my car. It's the fact that there's the smallest things to certain people might be a massive thing, Of course. Not car park space, but I know what you mean. Little things, and you've got to remember that you will get back up to the line. But it is normal that we have these dips and we have these highs, and they're never going to last. The highs never last, and the dips never last, and we've got to realise that. It was so true what you're saying, because I think, again, and I keep bringing it back to the blame of the information we've got in front of us, I think people forget that going through hard times is part of life. Of course it is, yeah. It's almost like we've just got this impression from social media, because it's someone's highlight reel, that everything's great all the time. That is not the case. So if you have a hard time, whatever happens to you in life, and we all have them, that's part of life. Don't suddenly think, I'm never going to recover from this. There's always a spring at the end of a winter, isn't there? Always. You've got to, you learn from them, don't you? Absolutely. They mould you as a person. And as harsh as some of them can be, you've got to take positives. So one I can say personally from myself is, when I was younger, I've always had a lot of troubles with my wrist and my thumb, certain bones in my hand, constant fractures or sprains or ligament tears and things like that. That once I got to a certain point, speaking to a surgeon, I think it was like my 4th operation, and I think he said, you need to actually look at, is it worth it in the end? And I remember a scenario that he said to me, that once you get into your mid-30s, you might struggle holding a cup of tea. And I thought, something's got to change then, and as much as I, as a kid, always thought, I'll be world champion someday, or I'll do this forever, I'll have 1,000 fights, I'll win them all. I then changed it. Obviously, I had my loop. I probably fell out of love with boxing. In fact, I know I fell out of boxing for a while. Probably went and did other stuff. But when I've come back, I've now gone into training, and now, say, maybe 10 years on, qualified England boxing coach. I've just done my professional boxing licence to be a trainer. So you've got to take everything as a lesson, as harsh as it can be. And they are harsh. Everything in life can be harsh at times.
That might have happened for a reason, though.
Yeah, and you've got to use it as a stepping stone, as a platform to move on and to do other things, which is why doing this with you today, having such a rough time that I thought I was going through last year, that I didn't think I was ever going to see the end of it. I didn't think I was ever going to get out, like light at the end of the tunnel sort of thing. That's now why I want to help people, because I didn't think I could talk to anybody.
So you can now empathise more with other people who feel the same.
Absolutely. I didn't think there was going to be a tomorrow. I thought there was some really dark times where I just thought, well, I've got no money, I've got no job, I've got not this, not that, no savings, and then you just think, what am I going to do? And you panic. And that was probably my kick. I thought, I've got to do something, because you can't stay like this. That's when bad things do happen again to blokes at that age, because they don't know, they're not talking to people. So we've got to, doing things like this is hopefully, even if just one person watches it and thinks, do you know what, I am going to text my mate, or I am going to ring my mum, or I am going to do something.
Or I am just going to get out for a walk. See the sunshine and realise that life is going on and I'm missing it.
Exactly. Even if just one person does that.
Absolutely. And like you say, drag your friends and family into it. Come along to a class. Talk to someone like us who knows what little steps you might need to take just to feel better. Because often they're not huge steps. They're not massive things that you need to do. They're just small things that, as I say, just build. Yeah. And again, they need to be achievable. They need to be what's happening in your life based around you. What we think, or not necessarily us, but what people around you think you can do. Like, you can get out of bed and go for a walk. You can do it. Of course you can.
Unless you physically can't. But what I mean is, you've got to make it achievable. Don't go from laying in bed to then saying, right, I'm going to do a marathon. Exactly.
I knew you were going to say that.
Because it isn't going to happen. No. And then you'll negatively be like, well, I haven't done it.
Well, I failed again.
Exactly. When we'd probably fail running a marathon tomorrow, do you know?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. Walk a marathon. It might take me like a couple of days.
Yeah.
But no, completely agree with you. I think that's because obviously we touched on what I do for myself to keep a sort of routine and self-cares, and we talked about that. But do you have something you make sure you do every day that really keeps you on the positive mindset?
Again, I just use the line every day. I go about things differently now. I'm still in recovery from my ankle. I had surgery in July. So that was hard for me. I was at a stage where I was running twice a day if I could.
Wow.
I was trying to get, whether or not I thought I was going to box again or not, I was trying to get into that fitness sort of style of it. Back to last year, I've put on a little bit of weight since then. I'd lost 4 stone. I was really dieting well.
Right, wow.
I was getting back into my training, like, at a good level. So when that hit, even to now, I've still not got into a full routine, because I might do a bit too much tomorrow and then that's set me back for a few days, things like that. But mindset has been my key thing. Just keep pushing on day by day, and definitely diet, because I absolutely piled weight on last year.
Really?
When this happened, I mean, you sat legged up, and then I caught COVID.
Oh, so it all kicked in at once. Yeah,
and I was literally, I was blessed that my mum and dad were about to help me, but as quick as they were filling the fridge, I was empty. Just quick.
But don't you find sometimes when something bad happens, you can almost, and a lot of people, you justify it. I deserve to be able to eat this crap because I've had something bad happen.
Yeah, of course you do.
A lot of people do that, or anything you can justify it if you want to, but it's trying to think, whatever actions you make now affect the result you're going to get tomorrow, and that is the bottom line, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
And often that action is preceded by a thought process, and the thought process there was, well, I can't train, I've got to put my feet up, therefore I'm going to eat cake, and then the result of that was whatever weight you put on.
Exactly.
In a simplified way.
Yeah, of course it is.
So I think for a lot of people, it's just, I often say to clients, it's intercepting that thought. So often, you might have somebody say, I've got a very ill parent in hospital, I'm having to go visit. I'm out of my routine, so I'm just going to get Starbucks, and then I'm going to get my McDonald's, and then I get Domino's for tea, and then suddenly what was a negative situation here with a person in hospital is now being sort of doubled down, and now I feel completely shocking because I've done this and I've put weight on. Yeah. So it's just trying to think. It's hard at the time because when the demon sets in and you just think, I just want to let it all go, you've got to try and think, right, how's that going to make me feel tomorrow? Will I be in the best state to help deal with the original problem?
You search for comfort in your times.
Absolutely, yeah.
And like you say, if you're not ready for it,
it can hit you like a ton
of
bricks.
Of course it can, yeah. And then a couple of beers and a curry turns into 2 weeks of eating garbage and more beer and more curry, and you're piling weight on, and then your situation, which upset you at first, becomes even worse and blows up. Exactly. Because you've let it really.
Yeah.
You've let it take over your head. And as much as it's easy for us to say that, talking to you, when you're actually in the situation, it's really hard, isn't it?
Oh, when absolutely, yeah. It's very easy. You justify anything to yourself because no one had to argue with you. It's all going on in your head. There's no one going to backtalk you there. And you just, yes, you're right, I do deserve that full cake to myself. I've had a bad day. I do deserve 2 bottles of wine. I've had a bad day. You can always justify it. It's trying to think about the future result, and that's hard in the moment. But you know what, again, sometimes I'll say to people, right, if you're having that moment where you're just thinking, I'm just gonna go to the fridge and see what I can find in there. Maybe just literally step back for like 2 minutes and just, I don't know, go for a walk around the estate you live on, the car park, the house, up and down, and just give yourself time to process it, because sometimes just that moment of reasoning can allow you to go, that wouldn't have been the best idea.
Take a breath.
Take a breath, exactly. It's hard though, because the demon takes over, doesn't it?
Of course it does. It's human nature to want to get your safe space in there when something's happening.
And for a lot of people, that's just on their own with a pile of food. It's like, this is going to make me feel great. And then it's like, oh no, I've done it again.
And again turns into again, which turns into again.
Turns into again.
Yeah.
And I think, food is one thing I find with a lot of, and you'll find it as well, especially with ladies, they often use the fact they have a family or a career as a reason why I don't have time to do this.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair enough, because we've got busy lives, everyone's got lots going on, but I often say to people, now if you drive yourself into the ground, you don't eat right, you don't exercise, you don't do all the things we're talking about here, because you're looking after the kids and you may be caring for older parents or whatever it is, how are you going to be the best version of you to look after those kids as they get older? Because you're probably not. And the example you set.
Best line I heard one of the classes that I did is, if you aren't 100%, you can't give 100%. That's
a good one.
And I think especially when the circumstances you just said then, like looking after kids, looking after parents, or big families or whatever, if you're running the tank on empty, whether that's sleep, you're not eating, or you forgot about your training because you're so busy, you aren't going to be giving back 100%.
That's so true. You can't pour from an empty cup.
No, exactly. And you run on low too long, and that's when you start coming down. Even though I suppose some of it is your mindset, but when you're running on empty for so long, that's when you constantly see the people that are run down all the time, constantly picking up colds and flus.
And then the kids are looking after you.
Exactly, yeah.
And that wasn't your original intention, so that's just turned on its head, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But that's one thing I always say to people. I know it's like that old analogy of when you're on a plane and it's about to go for a crash landing, and they say put your own thing on first before you, and that isn't instinct, is it?
No.
If you put in your own, you want to put the kids on because they're your kids. But how you're no good to them if you haven't put yours on and you're then, Yeah. So that's true, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's
look after. Yeah. So anyway. So, I hope you enjoyed that chat. I felt like we went on for a lot longer than we expected. We had so much to talk about, and I think that's the point, isn't it? Me and CJ have got a lot we'd like to talk about. There's probably more things we can discuss, but hope you've enjoyed that today. We sort of touched on a few subjects. Obviously, the contact details for myself, CJ, will be around this post somewhere if you want to get in touch with either of us. Boxing coaching, nutrition and fitness coaching. Oh, we do it all. So just get in touch if you need any help. And obviously, we'll hopefully do something again soon. If you've got any requests,
any topic. I think best part of today was that none of it was scripted, was it?
Not
just
totally.
Flowed. I think maybe ask what people want to talk about and get conversations going. That's the point in there, really.
Maybe some people want something more specific to boxing or to nutrition. any lifestyle thing really, we're sort of on board with.
I would love to get Pete here as well and get the free
that'd be
ones.
good. Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Talk about the hypnotherapy side of things.
Yeah, definitely.
There will be people out there that are sceptical about that. You're going to get out. Anything to do with the brain, you know, people are sceptical, so yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, I think you'd enjoy that as well.
No pressure, Pete.
Yeah, you've got to come now. When someone's knocking, you've got to come.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching. We've enjoyed doing it.
Cheers, thank you.